and oh my gosh, the floodgates opened. Hi there, and welcome to part 2 of my vegan journey. If you haven't seen the first video in this series, be sure to check it out. I'll link it in the description below. Today's video, I'm going to be discussing about my struggles with veganism in the beginning, how I got through them, and an important tip that I think you'll find useful. So be sure to stick around to the end for that. Okay, let's get right into it. I was introduced to the idea of going vegan by my boyfriend, who is now my husband, in late 2018, early 2019. He was about to have surgery and he knew that his mobility was about to be limited. And he also just wanted to be more healthier. Yeah, he casually brought it up in conversation like it was nothing. He was all, I think I want to go vegan. And I was like, my mind immediately went to, I just tried sushi for the first time and it was amazing. Then there's all the buffets that I'll never be able to go to again. Oh my gosh, vegan! I wanted to be a supportive girlfriend, but at the same time, I had to make sure that this was actually something that I would be able to do. Just to give y'all a little backstory, I was always the type to try a diet, fail at it, and then revert right back to unhealthy habits. It was my cycle, and I accepted that about myself because I knew at the end of that failed diet was a wonderful cheesy pizza waiting for me. I mean, I knew I couldn't keep up with those habits forever and that I would have to make a change eventually. But vegan? The amount of research that went into me making this decision was insane. Courtesy of my boo thing, he really came through with the big facts. I mean, it was his idea. He would send me YouTube videos. And in the beginning, we were on the alkaline path. So I watched a lot of Dr. Sadie videos. At the time, I worked in healthcare. So he would also send me videos about doctors.
Sneaky.
And they would talk about in depth the benefits of a plant based diet. Articles that he found that also went into depth about the benefits, as well as pros and cons, etc. He would just send me those so I can read them at my own time. It was at this point to when I was starting to get intrigued because now my mind went to 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. On the bright side, I'm not gonna really have to work out as much. Winning, let's be real, working out was never my strong suit. I mean, I would do it from time to time, but I could never stick with it long term. So I guess going vegan could have been my way of just getting out of it altogether. The next hurdle, I guess you can call it, was my mind. The saying, it's all in your head, could not be a more accurate statement. So I had to get all the negative thoughts out that were saying I couldn't do this, I wouldn't be able to stick with it, this isn't really for me, I'm not gonna last. And I needed to replace it with positive thoughts. Like, you about to like snatch, sis? Little did I know that the articles and the videos that were sent to me daily were literally programming my mind without me realizing it. And I'll say that process went on for about a couple of months. It wasn't until the beginning of 2019, that's when we went on like a intermittent vegan diet, guess you want to call it. So I basically, at home, I cooked vegan meals. But when it came to family gatherings or going out to eat, all bets were off. In mid 2019, we took meat mostly out of our diet. And we were pretty consistent with it until Thanksgiving. I mean, come on, turkey, brisket, mac and cheese. Oh my gosh, when I tell you my plate was so full, you would have thought that I hadn't eaten in years. I definitely indulged. And one thing that I found interesting, and call me crazy, but that same night when we got home, I remember sitting at the edge of the bed and I had got so emotional. It was confusing because I didn't know why I was crying. I couldn't stop. And it was so weird because in the past, I would just get itis, go to sleep, wake up the next day, good to go. But this time it was definitely different. It was that night that I knew for sure I was done with meat. For the rest of the holiday season, I made sure to stay clear of meat. The dairy still lingered though. Fast forward to 2020, we were like, okay, this year will be our test. We're going to try it out, this whole veganism thing, and we're going to see if we really can do this. We just got back from our annual New Year's Eve trip to Las Vegas, and we already had plans on going back in spring for our spring trip. And I will say I was a little skeptical of going back because, I mean, it's Vegas, buffets, all different types of eateries. Like, what? So I made a list of all the vegan places that I could find in Vegas, and that actually created some excitement because now I was ready to try. I couldn't wait to go so I can see, are these places really good or not? So we had plans to go in March of 2020, and we all know what happened during that month. The world literally shut down. And we just so happened to have gone that weekend that all the buffets were closing. A lot of restaurants were either closing or were takeout only. So we were going to have to find other eateries anyway. Thankfully, all the vegan places that I had found were remaining open. And to my surprise, the food was actually pretty good. Once we got back home, obviously the world was still pretty much on shutdown. So I relied a lot on YouTube videos trying to figure out what I could make. In my search of finding vegan meals, I must have tapped into the executive chef cookbooks because all I was finding were meals that took way too much time, had way too many steps, and they didn't even last like enough for leftovers. And I tell you, frustration was not even the word. I was so ready to just throw in the towel and say, hey, you gave it your best shot, but I don't like to give up, so I decided to give it another chance. I looked around in our kitchen and I saw that we had a pressure cooker. Now, I have never used a pressure cooker a day in my life. So I went to Google and I Googled easy vegan pressure cooker meals. And oh my gosh, the floodgates opened. It was quite a bit of material that I had to work with. And I'm a picky eater, so I knew I had to do a lot of substitutions, but I was up for that challenge. So that was one of the things that helped me get through the early vegan struggle. So if you notice, a lot of meals that I post, I'm using my Ninja Foodie. That's why. Because it literally saved me hours in the kitchen. If I can help at least one person with those recipes, then I'll be happy. Another thing that helped me stay strong in my vegan journey were two documentaries, both on Netflix. One is What the Health, and the other is The Game Changers. Now, hear me out. If you plan to go vegan, I suggest you allow yourself a good few weeks being vegan and then watch the documentaries. I mean, you could do whatever you want, but I got the most out of my journey by warming up my mindset to veganism, living the lifestyle for a minute, and then watching the documentaries. And that's all I will say on that because, as I stated in my last video, I'm not here to convince or persuade anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I solely am just sharing my experience in hopes that it can help someone else who may be feeling now how I felt back then. Moving on to the next thing that helped me stay strong in my vegan journey, and that was support. As I mentioned in my last video, our vegan journey started with just me and my husband. After that, we spoke with our parents, shared our findings with them, not to persuade them or expect them to make any drastic changes, but to our surprise, they did. We were both shocked and happy at the same time. But just as I went through having to learn to cook all over again, so did my mom. I had planned a day and I went over to their house and I filtered out all the non vegan foods in the house. We donated the rest. Then we went grocery shopping together and then I helped her pick and choose safe foods. I would then go over their house quite frequently to teach her some easy meals because they had a pressure cooker as well. But for the more tasky meals, I would make them on my own and then just give it to them to last for a couple of days. I ended up cooking for my mother-in-law as well. But this time I was doubling, tripling recipes and just portioning out and just dividing them up and giving them out for each household. I mean, I had it down to a science and I was giving service. And I did that all while working a mentally draining job full time. I honestly don't know how I did it. But once that helping switch of mine gets turned on, it's hard to turn it off. Needless to say, I was both mentally and physically exhausted. Then I had to turn around and go to work and save patients, all while having a smile on my face because they deserved nothing less. Eventually, my mom grew more comfortable with this new style of cooking, so her and my dad, they were good to go. And my mother-in-law was able to find pre-made vegan meals and only on occasion would get food from us still. I started to feel so relieved and happy because I helped two households make a drastic decision and follow through with it. And they're still doing well. Now, my parents, they're pescatarian now, but hey, that's fine. They still eat vegan quite frequently though. In fact, sometimes my mom will cook for us. Now, isn't that a full circle moment? Our family support is everything, and it made a great impact on helping us through our journey. So make sure you have a great support system. Surround yourself with positive people who are understanding and accepting to your change. And if you don't have that, then allow me to do that for you. I'm here to help in the best way I can. Going into this, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I struggled at the beginning, but it was something I wanted, so I made it happen. Going vegan may not be easy, but it's worth it if you're willing to give it a fair chance. Research, research, research. It's always best to educate yourself before you make any changes to your overall health. Talk it over with your doctor if you need to, but make sure it's something that you really want to do. And lastly, surround yourself with a strong and positive support network. Even if it's only a few people, it will make your vegan journey more tolerable, having people around you that truly support you. I hope my story helps give you the assurance that veganism is achievable. And if you need some inspiration, check out my food videos. These are recipes that I've been making for my family over the years, and now I'm sharing them with you for free. So take advantage of the deal. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on veganism. Have you tried it? Will you give it a try? Or is it just not your thing? Please keep it respectful. I want this to be a safe space. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and I personally would never force my beliefs on anyone else. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.